We all know now privacy has become a precious commodity in today's world, and a growing number of politicians and companies are seeking to reform the, quote, Electronic Communications Privacy Act. That's a 1986 bill that allows the government to collect emails and cloud information less than 180 days old. Congressman Kevin Yoder of Kentucky is just one of those pushing for the law's reform. He joins us now from Capitol Hill. Congressman, good to have you on the program. Thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, good morning, Maria. Thanks for having me on.
What would you like to see in this new evolution of this bill?
Well, as you said in the opening, Maria, there's a 1986 law that essentially allows the federal government to ignore the Fourth Amendment, to ignore due process, and read the emails of ordinary, innocent Americans and their information in the cloud, any of their digital information, without the protections afforded to everyone else. And so we've got a bill, it's a bipartisan bill that would essentially say the Fourth Amendment doesn't stop at the digital door, that we expect that as technology evolves, that the Fourth Amendment ought to protect those amounts of correspondence just like it protects paper correspondence. You know, Maria, this is much more egregious than the NSA situation that has, I think, splashed a lot of newspapers with the espionage and all the stories about Edward Snowden. This hasn't gotten as much fanfare, but frankly, this is much worse because this is entities like the Securities Exchange Commission, like the IRS, actually reading the content of Americans' emails without a warrant and many times without their knowledge. So it's very scary for both individuals and businesses alike.
Yeah, it really is. And I always laugh, you know, when people say, oh, well, you know, we're in a world of terrorism. If they want to read my emails, then let them read my emails. I don't care. It's really not about that. It's about where these emails go next. I mean, if this is sort of open season for everybody to read your emails and then just sell your emails or, you know, get it in the hands of people that you don't want, like whatever, advertisers or, you know, people need to understand what's actually going on.
Well, there's far-reaching circumstances that can occur, but this is actually not even about national security. This is about the IRS. This is about the SEC just looking for evidence of a crime, sifting through emails of folks in Wall Street, folks across the country. This is the IRS investigating individual Americans' email accounts, their Facebook pages, their information in the cloud. These are government entities that believe that the Fourth Amendment shouldn't apply to digital correspondence. I think most Americans believe it should, and we need to update these laws, Maria. This is almost a 30-year-old law. In 1986, how many people had email accounts?
Right.
So these laws were put together at a time when maybe email wasn't considered to be the mode of communication that it is today.
Well, what's your timeline on this, Congressman? I mean, clearly nothing's getting done before the midterms, right? I mean, do you really think that this is going to be a focus and actually we can move the needle on this over the near term?
Well, I think this actually does have a chance, unlike some other issues, because it has such broad bipartisan support. Maria, the bill we're pushing forward actually has support of both the Heritage Foundation and the ACLU. It's hard to find a lot of bills that brings together both right-leaning and left-leaning groups on the same piece of legislation. A lot of young people support this bill. We have bipartisan co-sponsors in the House and the Senate. We have almost half the House on the legislation that I'm pushing. The majority of Republicans in the House are on this bill, and many of the Democrats. And so it's the type of legislation that is so common sense. The idea that the Fourth Amendment ought to protect email just like paper correspondence, that almost every American should agree on this issue. It's the kind of common sense bill that ought to pass the House, pass the Senate, and go to the President's desk for a signature. I'm still very hopeful.
You would think so. Congressman, good to have you on the program. Thanks for stopping by today.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Congressman Kevin Yoder joined